It would be the last time I'd see Gene. He was 72 and he'd been out of prison for a month. We met outside the restaurant and each had a smoke. He pointed to the Time Warner cable van across the street. The jarhead in the driver's seat was giving us the eye. FBI, for bothering Italians, he spat. We went inside where he was greeted like a returning war hero. We were seated at the table in the window. I hear you get out of the business. Good boy, congratulations. You did the right thing. You can't do no business these days. It's all over for the street guys. It's all about the fat-ass rich pricks and the Wall Street faggots and the creeps that run the banks. They got this whole town sewn up. Executive compensation. He practically spat out the last part. I mean, us guys always got a piece, but we didn't take the whole fucking pie. He was going into a familiar rant, one that was not aimed at me, but for the guys listening from the surveillance truck across the street. They probably thought they were doing God's work, keeping a close watch on guys like Gene. The best mayor this town ever had was Frank Costello. Everybody needed good living in those days. The streets were safe. The kids could play in the street. They didn't have no play dates back then. And adults could even have some fun. After-hours joints, gambling joints, whorehouses. There was a Chinaman had an opium den right around the corner from here. That's when New York was New York. Look at this prick who's mayor. He spends $90 million out of his own pocket to get elected. Who could fight with that? They bust your ass for lighting a smoke at the bar. He's as bad as the last guy, who was as bad as Hitler. He wouldn't speak the last guy's name. No, worse. At least Hitler had friends. I mean, one thing these morons will never understand is that when the mob ran things, it was more fair for the little guy. There was a guy down in every corner who can get shit done for the working schmuck. You lose your job, your kid gets pinched, parking ticket, cops harassing your bar. You go down to the social club and talk to somebody and the problem gets solved. Who are you going to talk to nowadays? Who's looking out for the little guy? Call up the fucking mayor who lives in fucking Bermuda so he doesn't have to pay state and city taxes? It'd be a joke, but it ain't funny. It's like the fucking garment district when the Gambinos ran it. It was 2 cents to move a garment, so they lock them up and give the contract to some big company. Now they charge 5 cents, and they cut the pay for the guy who's got to push the fucking racks down the street. And he loses his benefits. Or garbage collection, don't get me started on that one. He asked about the bar business. I told him the NYPD's quality of life unit was breaking my balls. Jesus fucking Christ, these jerk-offs move into the city from the fucking suburbs and they're mad that it ain't just like the fucking mall. Fucking community boards. They're trying to make my nephew get rid of his pigeon coops for Christ's sakes. You can't even afford to live in your own fucking neighborhood. One of these suburban transplant families suddenly appeared outside the window. Wall Street dad, yoga mom pushing a whining kid too old for a stroller that was the size of a Mini Cooper. The brat was pitching a fit. Mom bent over with a concerned look on her face, trying to reason with the little shit. He smacked her in the nose with an iPhone. Gene laughed out loud. Christ, if that was my mother, they'd be sewing his lip up when his ass got to the hospital. I glanced across the street. The FBI man in the driver's seat was chuckling. They must have had us on speakerphone. A week later, they violated Gene's parole for showing up at his mom's funeral, where upon encountering his brother, he was rearrested for consorting with a known criminal.